Honey, let me tell you, one time I was on a movie set and literally the gangsters were funding the movie and they were using the movie as a laundromat.
Wesley Snipes just shook Hollywood with his sharp words, and many think he was throwing shade at heavyweights like Tyler Perry.
What's new? I mean, that goes back to the 1800s, right? Early 19th century. It's been an issue in this country since the beginning.
His frustration with the industry is crystal clear. He's tired of seeing dark-skinned black men boxed into violent, one-dimensional roles that keep harmful stereotypes alive.
We had enough images of us being dealers and, degenerates and unhumanly. I didn't want to contribute to that.
Snipes seems to be demanding something fresh, real layered portrayals that show black men in all their complexity, not just as criminals or villains. And let's be real, this isn't the first time people have called out Hollywood for recycling the same damaging images again and again. So what exactly did Wesley say? Let's rewind about 3 years ago. The entertainment world was buzzing with talk of a possible New Jack City revival. That film, released back in 1991, didn't just put Wesley on the map, it made him a household name and stacked his pockets with serious money. But the legacy of New Jack City has always been controversial. While fans loved the gritty crime drama directed by Mario Van Peebles, critics slammed it for painting African Americans as nothing more than ruthless hustlers and drug lords. Snipes' role as the cold yet captivating drug boss Nino Brown is still iconic today, but the negative portrayal sparked heated debates. And here's where Wesley dropped a bombshell. He refused to come back for the sequel. That's right, he flat out rejected the lead role, making it clear he wasn't going to let Hollywood drag him into another project that could disrespect his community. That move was bold, almost rebellious, and it sent shockwaves through the industry. And of course, Hollywood didn't like it. Some insiders whispered that his refusal to play along upset powerful players who wanted to cash in on the reboot.
That they were trying to make a New Jack City 2 because Nino survived at the end of New Jack City.
Yeah, they came to me with that idea a couple of times. And,
Yeah.
Snipes, however, wasn't budging. He told Brooke O.B. of Shadow and Act straight up, "I'm not associated with it. I have nothing to do with it at all." Then he doubled down with a message that made Hollywood nervous. "I think some things should be left alone if they worked at the time under the circumstances, and the story was built around things that were current." Wesley wasn't just saying no, he was calling out an entire system that profits off stereotypes, and that's what has everybody talking. Wesley Snipes didn't just walk away from New Jack City, he made it loud and clear he wasn't here to play with Hollywood's recycling machine. He flat out said, "I don't particularly like the idea of recreating the culture, for what? Under the current circumstances."
I had major reservations about playing the dealer from the start. Actually, I turned the film down a couple of times when they first approached me because that wasn't where my head was at,
That statement alone shook some tables. And he wasn't the only one throwing shade at the reboot. Even Charlemagne the God from The Breakfast Club clowned the idea. He revealed they approached him too, but he turned it down instantly, saying, "They actually talked to me about doing it and I've told them no. If I had a dime for every time I've said no, it's a done deal. It's a wrap." Ouch! That's two big voices slamming the door in Hollywood's face, and you can imagine the power players behind the scenes weren't too thrilled about being checked like that. And you know how Hollywood works? When you embarrass them, they don't forget. Over the years, things started getting tougher for Snipes. The once go-to macho action star began getting roles that didn't match his powerful brand. During an interview with Mark from Take-Two, Wesley addressed rumors about feeling underused in Rising Sun. He explained it wasn't about how much screen time he had, it was about the character itself.
He was kind of a little wimpish for me, and given the type of job that he had, mandated a certain amount of authority. So I wanted to bring that authority out.
According to Wesley, the way his character was written made him come across, in his words, a little wimpish. Snipes broke it down, saying his character had a dangerous job and should have carried more edge, more authority. But here's the kicker. He hinted that Hollywood elites wanted to water down his masculine presence on screen. It was like they had an agenda to chip away at his image, to make him less of the strong figure fans loved. Wesley pushed back, but of course, speaking up against the machine only put a bigger target on his back. From that moment on, it felt like Hollywood was raining fire down on his career. His boldness wasn't celebrated, it was punished.
It's okay if, he was authoritative and wrong, but at least, he had executed a certain amount of authority.
And the sad truth is, Wesley's story isn't unique. His fight against being typecast and stripped of authentic representation is part of a bigger, ugly pattern. Many other celebrities of color have spoken out about being boxed into harmful stereotypes, showing just how deep these biases run in the industry. And to make things even messier, a resurfaced Chris Rock interview had Hollywood buzzing. Rock threw a curveball when he hinted that Tyler Perry himself might have been fueling colorism through his movies. That comment sent shockwaves across the industry and lit up debates about whether Perry's empire has really helped diversity or just reinforced the old problems with new packaging. Chris Rock didn't hold back when he fired shots that had Hollywood buzzing. In a raw conversation about what Tupac Shakur's future might have looked like if he were still alive, Rock dropped a bombshell. He said, Tupac might have been a political leader if he were alive, but then again, Tupac might be in a Tyler Perry movie right now. He might be the bad, dark-skinned boyfriend in a Tyler Perry movie. That jab was brutal, and it cut deep into Perry's entire storytelling formula. Rock called out something a lot of people had noticed but never said so loud. In Perry's movies, the darker-skinned man almost always plays the abusive, cheating, or violent boyfriend. Meanwhile, the lighter-skinned man swoops in as the knight in shining armor who saves the woman from her misery. Fans laughed at Rock's punchline, but the truth behind it sparked serious conversations about colorism in Perry's empire. And Rock wasn't the only one putting Perry under the microscope. One Twitter user went viral when she accused Perry of carrying an underlying fear of white people, claiming it shaped how he wrote his characters and picked his storylines.
The man is trash. I'm just... period. I'm not a Tyler Perry fan, so this is what I got to say. It's funny how he got all this money to do everything but the right thing.
That claim might sound wild, but shockingly, it struck a chord with a lot of folks. Suddenly, more black actors were stepping forward, hinting at their own discomfort with Perry's style and even admitting they'd think twice before working with him again.
And they said they loved the script, but they wasn't sure how the film was going to turn out, so they passed.
It's hard to deny Perry's climb from grassroots Atlanta theater to box office dominance. His Medea character turned him into a household name, and his movies raked in millions. But with that level of success comes baggage, and Perry's track record has been anything but squeaky clean. After conquering the box office, Perry expanded his empire into TV with hits like House of Pain. But just when things looked unstoppable, a firestorm erupted. During negotiations for syndication money and a spin-off series, Meet the Browns, Perry axed 4 of his own writers after they pushed for union contracts. That move sparked outrage, exposing the messy labor battles brewing behind his success. Writer Terry Jackson, one of those cut, aired it all out to Deadline. We were good enough to create over 100 episodes, but now when it comes to reaping the benefits of the show being syndicated and having other spin-offs from it, he decides to let us go unless we accept a horrible offer. Instead of smoothing things over, Perry doubled down with a shocking response. He claimed he'd personally write everything himself. That declaration not only ruffled feathers, but also painted him as a boss who wasn't afraid to bulldoze anyone standing in the way of his empire. Tyler Perry's clash with unions didn't stop at the writer's room. It spilled over into the acting world too. In 2015, both SAG-AFTRA and Actors Equity took a bold stand by banning their members from joining Perry's stage play Medea on the Run. Why? Because Perry's production company refused to sign union contracts. To some, it looked like Perry was chasing profits at all costs, even if it meant locking horns with the very unions that protect performers. And let's just say not everyone in Hollywood was clapping for his methods. Right in the middle of Perry's success with House of Pain and Meet the Browns, acclaimed journalist and cultural critic Jamila Lemieux threw gasoline on the fire with an open letter to Perry. She published it on NPR's platform, and it lit up the industry. In her no-holds-barred critique, Lemieux blasted Perry for leaning on stereotypes in his storytelling. She admitted she respected his fight against Hollywood's old guard, but she couldn't stomach how he presented black culture on screen. Her words cut deep. The country has laughed at one of the most important members of the black community, Mother Dear. I just can't quite get with seeing Mother Dear played by a 6'3" man with prosthetic breasts flopping in the wind. Our mothers and grandmothers deserve much more than that. Heck, our fathers and grandfathers deserve more. That line alone had people talking for weeks. And she wasn't alone. Legendary director Spike Lee has long been one of Perry's most vocal critics, even flat out calling his films coonery and buffoonery. According to Lee, Perry's brand of comedy, while wildly successful, set black storytelling back by pushing caricatures instead of real, complex characters.
I think a lot of stuff that's on today is coonery and buffoonery. And I know it's making a lot of money.
Spike didn't mince words, and his comments added even more fuel to the raging debate about Perry's place in Hollywood. But Perry's controversies are just one piece of a much bigger storm swirling through the industry.
Breaking records, but we could do better.
Dig beneath Hollywood's glamorous surface, and the shadow of colorism and exploitation has been there for decades. In recent years, though, the internet has ripped that mask off. Hashtag movements, social media exposés, and viral callouts have forced the industry to face demons it long tried to hide. The fall of Harvey Weinstein in 2017 cracked the dam wide open. The wave of allegations against him didn't just destroy his empire. It pulled the curtain back on Hollywood's toxic culture of silence and abuse, and as if that wasn't explosive enough, fresh scandals kept surfacing, hitting even beloved stars. One of the biggest shocks, Kevin Hart being forced to step down from hosting the 2019 Oscars after old homophobic tweets resurfaced. Overnight, he went from Oscar host to headline controversy, proving that in this new era, no one in Hollywood is untouchable. It was a PR disaster that played out live on social media, and Hollywood had no escape from the millions of eyes locked onto every misstep.
Kevin Hart has stepped down from hosting this year's Oscars. He put out a statement on Twitter tonight saying, "I have made the choice to step down."
But the string of embarrassments didn't stop there. Soon, the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite campaign stormed onto the scene, and suddenly the industry's biggest night looked more like a symbol of exclusion than excellence. The movement didn't just call for token diversity, it demanded a total shakeup of an institution that for decades had celebrated the same narrow whitewashed image of success. The Oscars, once the crown jewel of Hollywood prestige, were dragged under a blistering spotlight. Could they stay relevant in an age where systemic bias was no longer whispered about, but blasted across timelines and headlines? The scandals hit like an earthquake, leaving Hollywood's reputation cracked and shaky. The so-called Walk of Fame started looking more like a walk of shame, with stars and moguls stumbling to protect their images while the public demanded accountability louder than ever. But this fight for representation wasn't new. It had deep, painful roots. Back in February 1940, Hattie McDaniel made history as the first African-American to win an Oscar, taking home Best Supporting Actress for her unforgettable role in Gone with the Wind. Her victory should have been pure joy, but instead, it was bittersweet. On the very night she broke barriers, McDaniel was forced to sit in a segregated section, a cruel reminder that Hollywood's glitz couldn't cover America's racial divide. Fast forward 8 decades, and Hollywood is still wrestling with the same ugly patterns. The 2020 Oscars laid it bare once again. Lupita Nyong'o, who delivered a powerhouse performance in Jordan Peele's Us, was completely snubbed. Fans were outraged. How could one of the best performances of the year get ignored? It was yet another painful reminder that racial bias still shaped who gets recognized and who gets erased. And let's be real, the problem doesn't stop at who takes home trophies, it's in the content being made too. That brings us back to Tyler Perry, one of the most polarizing creators in modern Black cinema. His empire is undeniable, but so is the criticism. Many argue his films lean too heavily on recycled stereotypes, portraying Black characters in ways that reinforce damaging narratives rather than breaking them. Take Diary of a Mad Black Woman. In the movie, actor Steve Harris plays Charles McCarter, a wealthy lawyer who brutally betrays his wife Helen. Not only does he flaunt another woman in her face, but he literally throws Helen out of their home. The image of a successful Black man as an abusive, cheating monster stirred outrage. Was Perry telling meaningful stories, or was he feeding Hollywood's appetite for harmful portrayals of Black men? This controversy around Perry's films isn't just about him. It's about the larger question hanging over Hollywood. When powerful storytellers shape what the world sees, don't they carry the responsibility of how those stories impact real people? And that question is one the industry still hasn't answered. No doubt Tyler Perry has opened doors for countless Black actors and storytellers. But the question still lingers. Do his characters really show the full depth of the African-American experience, or do they trap it in recycled cliches? That tension sits right at the heart of Hollywood's bigger problem. Even moments of progress like Hattie McDaniel's Oscar win decades ago shine with pride, yet remind us just how far the industry still has to go. Sure, Hollywood has made moves toward diversity and inclusion, but the ghosts of bias and stereotype are still haunting the stage. The 2020 Oscars proved it all over again, with jaw-dropping snubs that left fans furious. And the ongoing scrutiny of Perry's films only adds to the fire, raising hard questions about whether his empire is pushing the culture forward or holding it back. Hollywood loves to pat itself on the back for progress, but real equality, that's still a work in progress. Hattie McDaniel's legacy is proof that symbolic victories don't erase systemic issues. Representation isn't just about who gets to stand on the stage. It's about who gets written into the script in the first place and how they're portrayed when the cameras start rolling. One of the ugliest realities that refuses to die out is colorism. Even with the rise of the black girl magic movement, Hollywood still tends to reward a very narrow definition of black beauty: slim, light-skinned, Eurocentric features. Those seem to get the spotlight. Actress Zendaya herself admitted she benefits from light-skin privilege, shining a light on just how uneven the playing field still is. And fans aren't blind. They've called out casting choices that made headlines for all the wrong reasons, like Zoe Saldana portraying Nina Simone, complete with dark makeup, or biracial actresses consistently being chosen to play roles written for darker-skinned women like Storm in X-Men. Moves like that scream one thing: Hollywood is still obsessed with image over authenticity. This issue runs deep. Author Alice Walker coined the term colorism back in 1982, but the problem has roots much older than that. And while rising stars like Zendaya, Amanda Steinberg, and Yara Shahidi are pushing boundaries, fans are demanding the same spotlight for darker-skinned actresses. As one frustrated fan put it, not only is there a colorism problem, but it's racism, period. At this point, not only do they need to be light-skinned, but mixed race in general. And I never see stories of black love anymore unless it's in a fully black-casted show. That raw frustration shows exactly how audiences feel. Hollywood might celebrate progress on paper, but when it comes to showing healthy black relationships and communities in mainstream films and shows, the screen is still looking real empty. And now, Wesley Snipes' blunt remarks have cracked the conversation wide open. His comments, seen by many as a sly jab at Hollywood power players like Tyler Perry, didn't just stir the pot, they forced everyone to confront the industry's dirty little secret. For all its wealth and glitz, Hollywood still struggles to tell black stories with honesty, respect, and depth. At the end of the day, Wesley Snipes' bold stance shows just how powerful one voice can be. He's proof that even in an industry built on glitz, money, and control, speaking out can shake the ground and force people to face uncomfortable truths. His words aren't just entertainment, they're a challenge to Hollywood itself. Anyway, that's the wrap for this one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation is far from over. See you on the next one.